Cosmic Show with Rahim Khan, and I'm starting a new segment, and that is underrated movies of the week. Um, I think I've come across over like the past 5 or 6 months movies that are definitely like sort of they're sort of under the radar, but they turn out to be pretty good sort of weekend watches, and I'm surprised why they haven't done any better or they haven't garnered more attention, which is, of course, why they've earned the status of being underrated. So, for our inaugural episode, I'm going to start off with Fuse. This is a movie that I'm regret not watching at the cinema. It was up there, and while of course I hadn't seen the trailer, the actors alone warranted me going to the cinema to watch this because it has Sam Worthington, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Theo James, and Gugu Mbatha-Raw, as well as in a very sort of like dialogue free role. What's it called? Tilda Swinton's daughter, whose name I'm forgetting. But okay, I wanted to watch this movie because the thing is, I think this came out in okay, this is April. This came out in April, and there's sort of that sort of dead period right before summer blockbusters hit, and I don't know why. And by the time I realized, like, sort of like, I was like, okay, I think it's time I do make my way to the cinema to watch this movie. They had already taken it down, which is a shame because I would have had one hell of a time watching it. Because I kid you not, barring, say, for example, like the coda that they add at the end of this movie, to explain certain things. This is one hell of a, solid, I would say action thriller, like heist thriller movie. And again, it's a shame that it has not garnered more attention. Now, one thing that I think adds, or maybe isn't even the reason why the movie is so good, is because of its pedigree. And the pedigree is its director, David Mackenzie. You may know, of course, David Mackenzie, the Scottish director, from such movies as Outlaw King, Hell or High Water, which is a really good movie, and of course last year's Relay starring Riz Ahmed. So this guy, and that in fact I included that movie in sort of my honorary mentions of the year for 2025. This guy knows how to direct like sort of a thriller, a heist thriller, action thriller. He's got the goods, and he brings it here as well. Thanks, of course, to Ben Hopkins' script as well. Okay, so regular like summer day in London, okay, and construction workers have discovered a World War II bomb. Of course, this calls for it to be safely removed or diffused. The army is called in, and in particular, what's his name? The major, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, Major Will Tranter. Of course, he comes with his baggage, as do all military men who are still serving, because at some point or the other, they may have been in Afghanistan. And of course, this guy was. So he has that. He's a bit of an unconventional soldier, but still highly respected. And so there they are, they come in. Of course, in order for this to be safely done, they have to cordon off, like I think I'm not sure if this is an entire city block or whatever, but quite a bit of it has to be sealed. Everyone needs to be evacuated. In particular, and you don't get this until the very end, but a family, an Afghan refugee family, Pashtun, thank God, with my namesake, the guy's name is Rahim. He and his family have to be taken out of their apartment block, and what's it called, their council flats. But while all of this is happening, Theo James, Sam Worthington, and a couple of others, posing as construction workers, descend into the basement of that building, and they start drilling into the wall. And you're like, wait a second, what is going on here? So you have, on the one hand, this EOD team trying to defuse this bomb. And on the other, these guys are drilling into this wall, which happens to be that of a bank's. So are the two connected? Spoilers ahead, of course. They are. But how they are, we only learn much later because there's still a lot more going on in this movie. Um, I don't know how much of the plot I should give away, but there's enough twists and turns in this movie to literally keep you glued. And that happened to me to your screen until the very end, because again, you're just like wondering, A, are they going to be successful? Because I don't know why. Not to say that it's like sort of I champion criminality, but sometimes you're like, in these movies, I just want these guys, like the robbers or whatever, to get away with it. Not of course when they kill people, but in this case, nobody is harmed. So, like, you know what? If they are like robbing, I don't know, like a corporation or something like that, there's a very sort of, I think, Robin Hood mentality to that, where you're like, you know what, to hell with those guys. Take down Amazon. I don't care. Do it. So until the very end, like sort of the police slowly begin to cotton on. They begin to realize that, wait, something is going on. There's the whole bomb drama going along as well, which is kind of like, if anyone's seen The Hurt Locker or any of these other movies, you know for a fact that all of these, whenever it's like sort of, they're trying to like, do it, or they're trying to defuse a bomb, it's tense. Um, Everyone's pretty good in this. Aaron Taylor Johnson, I like this guy a lot. I think it's a bit of a shame that he's never really gotten like a role that quite matches his looks, his physicality, his acting. I hope he does. There are, of course, rumors that the guy might be the next Bond. I don't mind that at all, but I don't think it'll happen. Theo James, I really like, and I like Theo James a lot after watching that Guy Ritchie series. What is it, The Gentleman on Netflix? Really like the guy. Of course, in this case, he plays a sapper, so he has that accent. Sam Worthington is good. Everyone is great in this, and how all of these disparate threads kind of tie into one another at the end is really worth it. But I have to say, I feel I'll just go ahead and say it. There are spoilers. I mentioned that before. Okay. So, yes, they do get away. Okay. And you do realize that Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, Major Tranter, is in on it from the start. So, the bomb was one that he made, right? He kind of replicated a World War II era bomb. The construction site, conveniently, the security guard on that is Raheem's brother. He allows Sam Taylor Johnson's character to come in, bury it. They create this whole sort of like, misdirection sideshow type thing. So these guys can drill into the wall of the vault, the bank vault, steal stuff. These guys go. Of course, there's a double cross waiting to happen because the backers of this heist turn out to be like, these mean Russians or Ukrainians or whatever. Um, Sam Worthington's crew all get screwed out of their money, but then Theo James thankfully is saved because of an intervention on Aaron Taylor Johnson's part. Blah, 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 blah. It is also revealed that Raheem, who lived in that apartment, helped the robbers gain access to that building. And we eventually learn that the three sort of key figures in this, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Theo James, and Raheem, all met conveniently in Afghanistan. And that is where this sort of bond is forged. And perhaps they conspire or at least realize that sort of all of this war and this bloodshed is just not for us and we want out. So I think the story its direction, the pacing, a lot of that stuff worked to make this a very effective thriller. Like, I'm not saying that this is like a Heat level type of movie, but this is like a solid B plus plus. Like, it's a movie that you will not disappoint you. The only thing I think I was let down by, because until the very end, I thought, you know what, man, near near perfection. But then they add in that whole backstory telling us how these three met, which I think I understand that you have to explain to audiences, oh, wait a second, this, but it's actually, I would have liked perhaps in that sort of, in that final scene, well, second to final scene, in which you have all of these three in Istanbul trying to offload the diamonds they've just stolen. I think there, maybe a couple of words hinting at a past relationship would have been enough for us. Of course, then you also get, like, I wouldn't say it's an end credits thing, but it's more like sort of a post credit scene where this is what these people did with their money, which I don't think was needed. It almost came off like a Stephen Knight type thing, and I really don't like that guy. Like, it reminded me of, like, the kind of intertitles they have on SAS Rogue Heroes, where it's kind of be like sort of tongue in cheek. It didn't need that. So I think, barring that, and again, this is really minor. This is like the last 5 minutes of the movie. Everything else about this is top notch. This is 2026 is when it was produced in 2025, but whatever. This is 2026 is Fused.